the Gambia and around the world, you're watching Atlantic TV News. Our top stories this hour. Ex-KMC CEO Senabu Martin Sonko tells Commission Mayor Bensouda threatened her. UDP leader Ousainou Darboe says no quitting politics until Gambians get back their dignity. Supreme Court set Yankuba Toure case for judgment. Robbers strike in Central River Region North and escape with $100,000. Away from home, Syria's rebel leader calls on refugees to return home. And France continue military drawdown from Africa. These and much more coming ahead with me, Alagie Mbye. Many thanks for joining us. Now, former CEO of KMC, Senabu Martin Sonko, continued her testimony at the Local Government Commission of Inquiry on Wednesday, saying Mayor Talib Bensouda threatened her after she refused to write and apologize to him. She said the mayor was livid when he learned about the $12 million loan saga. He became mad about it, and he accused me of committing a fraud with the executive of the Staff Welfare Association, that is Bakari Jao, the former president of the association, Babukar Sanyang, the treasurer, and Mam Kab Bas, she testified. She further testified he, the mayor, initially sent Kanjura Kanyi, a council worker, to my home when we were living in Kanifing to ask me to write and apologize to him. Kanjura said the mayor promised that if that was done, then nobody would hear about what I had done. I had doubts about that, and I did not want to do that, but he invited my husband through one Alagie Conte, and Mr. Conte called my husband and repeated the same thing to him, that the mayor only wanted me to write an apology letter to him, and he will take no further action against me. She added that after much persuasion from her husband, she decided to write a statement instead of an apology letter, which was not countenanced by the mayor. After submitting the statement to the mayor, he, the mayor, became even madder, and he called me into his office with Kanjura Kanyi, and he said, since I refused to write the apology letter like he wanted, he will come out with a fraud allegation against me that will go public, and by the time he's done dealing with me, I won't be worth anything in the country, and nobody will employ me again in the country, the witness alleged, as reported by the Standard newspaper. Now, addressing a night rally in Janjambure during his nationwide tour, Mr. Darboe described the Gambia under President Barrow as troubled. Mr. Darboe's statement is likely a riposte to calls by Lands Minister Hamad Ba, who told a meeting at Ibo Town midweek that although Mr. Darboe has done a lot for this country, gone to jail and lost his profession just to rescue this country, it is time now for him to retire. But the UDP leader disagreed. In 1996, a bag of rice in this country was less than $500. I predicted that if Gambians fail to change the government, we will buy a bag of rice for more than $500. Today, a bag of rice has reached $3,000, and I went on to call on the state to ensure basic fundamental right to education. Still now, those rights have not been given. I will not resign until and unless Gambians enjoy these rights. I am telling President Adama Barrow and his government that before creating 3 universities in the country, maintain and upgrade the one we have, rather than creating, for example, a University of Science, Engineering and Technology, provide a good faculty of engineering, a standard school of administration and quality education within the University of the Gambia, so that the expenditure can be reduced. He said the state should not be burdened with incurring the expenses for costly new vice-chancellors and administrations. Darboe told the youths to girdle their waist and vote in a new government that will wipe their tears in the 2026 presidential election. You need a government that will provide you standard education. We want our university graduates to be on par with graduates from Oxford University, but that cannot be achieved when the right to education is not given, according to Darboe, as reported by the Standard newspaper. Now, moving on to some legal matters, because the Supreme Court of the Gambia, presided over by Chief Justice Hassan Jallow, Justice Cherno Jallow, Justice Hawba, Justice Idris Mbye, and Omar Njai, yesterday adjourned the criminal case involving former Minister Yankuba Toure and the state to the next session of the court. The court's decision came after both the counsel for Toure, lawyer A. Sissoho, and the Director of Public Prosecution adopted their briefs of arguments. It could be recalled that Toure, a former minister in the Yahya Jammeh government, was convicted of a single count of murder by Justice Ibrahim Jaite of the High Court in Banjul on 14th July 2021. Toure was found guilty of killing former Finance Minister Usman Koro Sise in June 1995. The prosecution, led by DPP A.M. Yusuf, called 9 witnesses and tendered several exhibits to prove its case against Toure, including soldier Alagie Mbye. After the High Court verdict that imposed a death sentence by hanging, Toure went to the Gambia Court of Appeal and, failing to get a reprieve, he proceeded to the Supreme Court seeking an overturn of the death sentence, as reported by the Standard. Now, to some sad and security issues, because robbers currently attacked a shopkeeper at Karantaba village in the Same district of the Central River Region North and went away with $100,000. The point has been reliably informed. The incident occurred recently when the robbers reportedly broke into the shop belonging to Fai Sisao of Karantaba. The complainant, Fai Sisao, who was speaking to the Point newspaper in an exclusive interview, described the incident as unfortunate, as the robbers went away with all his savings. Narrating how the incident had left him, Sisao said, "The little profit I made from the shop is what I used to feed my family. With this unfortunate incident, it means I'm starting fresh again. It is so painful in the sense that I am not working for myself, but I was working for someone." He urged the government to redouble their efforts in maintaining the country's peace and security, especially in the Central River Region North. Tijan Janko, a shopkeeper in the area, also lamented the difficulties shopkeepers in the area face due to the fear of being attacked by robbers. Businessmen in the area even fear to heavily invest in businesses due to the fear of being robbed by robbers, Janko said. Therefore, we are urging the IGP to strengthen security within the area, according to the Point newspaper. You're watching Atlantic TV News with me, Alagie Mbye. We'll go for a short break. The news continues right after that. Stay with us. Now, away from home, Syria's rebel leader Abu Mohammed al-Julani is calling on refugees to return to their home country to construct a new Syria. More than 6 million Syrians have fled the country since 2011, when Bashar al-Assad's clampdown on anti-government demonstrations triggered a civil war. Details in this France 24 report.
Sitting beside his supporters in a mosque he attended as a youngster, Syria's rebel leader made an appeal to those of his compatriots forced from their homes over the past 13 years.
There is nothing greater than for one to work to reunite the Syrian people. We must give Damascus its right. We must give it its right by restoring people's dignity and pride and by building it properly. The opportunities are available to us, and the people who have immigrated, who have sought asylum, who have been displaced, they must return. All these people must return so that hand in hand we can build the next Syria, God willing.
Since 2011, when the civil war erupted following Assad's deadly clampdown on anti-government protests, more than 6 million Syrians have fled the country. That's around a quarter of the population. Syria's new prime minister has vowed to protect the rights of all residents, including those belonging to minority groups. Promises that residents here in Aleppo hope will be kept.
We are optimistic our lives will be better with a transitional government and the arrival of a merciful president who will be able to govern the Syrian people with kindness and have empathy for them.
The first thing is for women to obtain their full rights, to try to rise up and reach some kind of development, instead of being repressed and feeling isolated from the rest of the world.
Many refugees, meanwhile, are remaining cautious and keeping a close eye on developments. They're assessing whether the new leadership will safeguard their rights and enable a safe return.
Now, France continues military drawdown from Africa as the latest withdrawal began on Tuesday in Chad. Senegal's President Bassirou Diomaye Faye has also called for the closure of all French military bases in the country. Details in this CGTN report.
The end of an era. French forces have begun withdrawing from Chadian soil, concluding 6 decades of French military presence in the country. A day after Chad ended its defense agreement on November 28th, Senegal also called on France to shut down all its military bases and withdraw its troops. Between 2020 and 2023, the French military was forced to leave Mali, Burkina Faso and Niger following military coups in those countries. Besides Senegal, the only other African countries hosting French military bases are Côte d'Ivoire, Gabon and Djibouti. Experts say the current drive is about states' sovereignty.
The perception among most people in West African Francophone countries is the fact that critical decisions about state building, about national progress, about economic development, political development have to be made and backed up by France before they can exercise their own sovereignty. And they consider the fact that the military establishment of France is still operating within their land. That kick them out is the first point to make a point to France that we really want to demand our full independence after 60 years.
French President Emmanuel Macron seems to have taken note of the changing tide. In November, he received proposals from a military review in Africa that could see Paris reduce its military presence on the continent and focus instead on training and logistics with partner states. But many analysts warn that France's influence on Africa cannot be understated.
France's establishment is still so much alive in Francophone countries. Most people are only looking at it from the military establishment alone. French businesses pervade the entire countries that we're talking about here in terms of manufacturing, fast-moving consumer goods in the tourism sector, in the hospitality sector, in the education sector.
So, as Paris is forced to seek new engagement with Africa, experts insist it must engage African countries as equals in a win-win partnership. Robert Nagela, CGTN.
You're watching Atlantic TV News with me, Alagie Mbye. A quick reminder of the headlines before we go. Ex-KMC CEO Sainabou Martin Sonko told Commission Mayor Bensouda threatened her. Dabo said no quitting politics until Gambians get back their dignity. Supreme Court has set Yankuba Toure case for judgment, and robbers struck in the Central River region north and escaped with $100,000. Away from home, Syria's rebel leader has been calling on refugees to return home. France has continued military drawdown from Africa. That does it for this hour. Many thanks for watching, and do enjoy the range of our interesting programs. From me and the entire news team, thank you for the pleasure of your company.